so learning goal, the student will understand how to calculate slope. So we're going to look at all of slope today. We're going to learn how to do it from a graph and how to find slope from 2 points. Okay, so first thing I would ask you is, what is slope? You've heard about slope in just life. What if you've heard the word slope before, what's it referring to? The angle of what? Where have we heard it in life? The angle of what, Carter?
Like downward or upward angle.
Okay, downward or upward angle. Okay, give me some specific examples. Katie? Skiing, right? There's different slopes of skiing. Okay, what happens if you go on like a diamond, black diamond? It's really, the slope is really steep versus a bunny hill. Not very steep. That's what Mrs. Krim likes. Those bunny hills. I just like to drift down as I ski. Okay, that's the same thing it is here. Slope of a line is talking about the exact same thing. It's talking about the angle to which that is going up or down and how much. Okay, it's super easy to calculate, especially when you have graphs like this. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Slope is fun. You're going to remember this. Slope is fun. Remember, rise over run. Slope is fun, remember, rise over run. You're going to be dealing with slope for like the next bajillion years. This does not go away. This is another big thing. Okay? Now, rise would be just like a hot air balloon rises up or down. When we say run, run is the horizontal change. And so it's like if you're running on the ground, you're running like this. Okay? All right, so all I have to do is look at these 2 points that they've given me. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it into kind of a right triangle. And right there, it's going to show me what my rise and run are. So right here, going up and down, this is my rise, and it has a rise of 2. My run is right here, 1, 2, 3, has a run of 3. And then I just put it into my fraction. So rise over run would be 2/3. And the line is going up, because we always read them from left to right, which means it's a positive graph, so positive 2/3. So the next one, we're going to do the exact same thing again. So we're going to look at the 2 points. Which, by the way, some kids have said before, can I go above the line? Can I make it up here? You sure can. It doesn't matter if you go above or below. It works either way. All right, so from here, again, I'm going to count my rise. 1, 2, 3 units. I'm going to count my run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. Slope is fun. I'm going to put my rise over my run, which is 3, 6. Yes.
Well, they still look like dots in that line.
They have to. And so if they don't give you dots, you have to find your own dots that are perfect. That's a good question. Yeah. Okay, so you read graphs just like you read words from left to right. So if I was a little man standing over here on this side, would he be going uphill or downhill? He'd be going uphill, so that's a positive slope. Okay. All right, so that gets us to the third one, since we just talked about that. So if I was a little man, remember I always stand on the left. Would I be going up the hill or down the hill? Down the hill. So this graph is going to be a negative slope, okay? But I still calculate rise and run the exact same way. So this has a rise of 1 and a run of 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one's going to be a negative 1. Okay, there's one on the next slide. I'd like you guys to go ahead and try that one after you get finished with that one. Go ahead and try it. All right, this one should be pretty easy. Here's your rise and run. So we say slope is fun, rise over run, and I would simplify this to just 2. Yes?
How do you know which way to do the angle?
What do you mean? Which way to draw the triangle?
Yeah.
I said you could draw it above or below. Doesn't matter.
I did the other way.
You can't get one half. If you go the other way, you go like this, it's still a rise of 2 and a run of 1. So it's still rise over run. You get the same thing either way. And then, like earlier, Catherine said, well, what if they aren't on the points? So what if I even pick, let's pick some other ones. Let's pick this one and this one. And let's look at that rise over run. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's 4 over 2? Still 2. I mean, I could make them as far apart as I want. You're always going to get the same thing. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's see if you remember how to graph and then calculate slope. Okay, so when you graph, what do you have to do first? Okay, so we're going to start with the -2. Where do I go on my graph? You guys are pointing. That way. That works really well for kids watching the video. So you always go left to right first, right? Does that make sense? Because this is always your x coordinate. This is always your y coordinate. So you always go left to right and then up and down. And the kids told me last year that their teachers had said like a squirrel has to run on the ground before it goes up in the tree. Have you heard that one before?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. But if you say a squirrel runs here and then goes up. So I used to say an airplane has to go on the runway before it can launch into the air. So however you want to think about it. So we're going to go over -2. And then after we go over -2, we're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There will be my dot. Okay, my second point. So I'm going to go over +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And there's that point. Okay, and the best of my ability, I'm going to draw in a straight line. Not a line segment. And I'm going to put arrows because this line goes on forever. And then I'm going to calculate its slope. So I figure out my rise and I figure out my run. Let's see, my rise would be 8/6, and I'm going to reduce that to 4/3. And by the way, oh, and what else do I need on this one? Negative. And remember, the negative can go in the top, the bottom, or out front. I do not need to change these into mixed numbers because slope is just fine being improper. So you can leave that as -4/3. It's actually preferred. We will never do that next year, so I think it's better for you just to get, unless digit specifically says put it in a mixed number, I would not. So I said we will never do that next year. All right. Whoops. Okay. So that was a lot of work, right, to calculate slope. So what if there was a faster way to calculate slope? Would that make you happy? Okay. Now, first of all, if they give you a graph, it's always easiest to count it because counting is easy. But if they just give you 2 points, you don't want to have to go find graph paper, graph it, and then count it. There's got to be an easier way. Okay, so here is a really nice formula that we will use a ton. So it's going to look kind of funky. Whoops. No, that's right. I did it right. Okay. Lots of variables, lots of numbers. It's really not scary. Trust me, we'll use it a lot. Okay, so what this means, N stands for slope. So if I haven't told you that already, I don't remember. This means slope. Okay, and to find slope, you're going to take the y from the second point and subtract the y from the first point. Jason, did you have something you wanted to share? Okay, then I don't. Okay, no. And then x from the second point, subtract x from the first point. Okay, so let me show you what I do because I think this is helpful, but you don't have to do it, but I think it helps. So I mark x, y, and then I mark this as a 1, and then I mark this as an x and a y, and I mark this point as a 2. You're going to say, well, does it matter which one's 1 and 2? No, because this still works even if you reverse it. Okay, so I take the y from the second point. Where is y from the second point? Right here. So I put -2. You have to do subtract. And then I take y from the first point. Y from the first point is right there, -3. So then I write -3. Okay, process that. Make sure you get that part. And then I just go down to the bottom part. So I do the x from the second point. The x from the second point is -1 minus x from the first point, which is 5. And then I just solve these two problems. I promise you, as we do this more and more, you'll get to the point where you will eventually do these mentally. You won't be there probably quite yet because you'll probably make some mistakes. All right, what do I do if I have subtracted negative? What did we learn this year? Plus positive. Good. So negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Okay, and then what's negative 1 take away 5?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. So the slope is negative 1/6. That's the slope. Okay. Like I said, you'll get to a point where this will be second nature because we will do it so much. All right, let's do some more until you feel like you're getting it, because this is the hardest part. All right, so again, I suggest that you name one of these 1 and one of these 2. And it does not matter if you reverse them, you'll get the same answer. And then I go ahead and label these XY, XY. All right, so we're taking the Y from the second point, subtracting. So basically what we're doing is we're subtracting the Y's and we're subtracting the X's. And we're making sure that at whatever point we start with is what we start with both times. That's really all we're doing. Okay? So I start with the Y from the second point. The Y from the second point is 4. The Y. That's why I label them at first until you get really comfortable with it. So Y from this, that would be 4, minus the Y from the first point, which is 2. So you see we're just really taking 4 minus 2, and then we're taking 2 minus negative 3. That's all we're doing. We're subtracting Y, subtracting X's. Okay? So the X from the second point is 2. Take away negative 3. And 4 minus 2 is 2. And then we're going to do plus plus. So 2 plus 3 is 5. And you always make sure it's in lowest terms, but that one is, so we're done. Okay, I'd like you to try B and C, and let's just see where you guys are with it, and if I need to help some. Yes, 0 out of 3 is 0, so the answer is 0. That answers your question.
Okay, so is there any instance that it would be undefined?
I am so glad that you asked if there was any instance that might be undefined. Okay, all right. So the very next slide says, the line shown has an undefined slope. Use the points to explain why. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again. So what I want you to do is I want you to calculate the slope doing what we just did, and then let's see if we can figure out why it's undefined. All right, so hopefully you're getting 1 minus 3 on the top, and in the denominator you're getting 3 minus 3. So this would be negative 2 over 0. And anything that has 0 in the denominator is always called undefined. So the slope of a vertical line like that is always going to be undefined. You don't even have to calculate it. It's just undefined. Okay? Now, the one that we just calculated a second ago that said it had a slope of 0, does anyone know what that line would look like? Nora? Yeah, it's going to be straight across. Okay, so this one's undefined. If I'm going this way, like this would have a slope of 0. And the reason it would have a slope of 0 is because if you think about it, this is rise over run. Is it rising anything? No, it's just running. So that's why this one has a slope of 0 and this one has a slope of undefined. That's going to be another really important thing. So you want to make sure that you have all that written down. Okay? All right. Okay, so this actually comes out of the Algebra 1 book. So that's how much or how long we will use this. Okay, so here are the different types of lines that we've covered today. Positive lines go up, negative lines go down. If you have a 0 slope, it's horizontal, and if you have undefined, it's going to be vertical. So there's all of your 4 slopes on one screen. All right, so what happens if they give you a word problem? Do you understand how to do that? So it says, which roof is steeper, roof A with a rise of 12 and a run of 7, or roof B with a rise of 8 and a run of 4? How do you know? Good, B, because it's 2. All right, last one. Okay, go ahead and try that one, and then we'll be done with our notes.